Subject: it was just a joke. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Hey, true story. My name is Brittany. I guess I should start from the beginning because without context, I probably sound like the villain already. It all started at a concert. Funny enough, it was supposed to be a girls' night out for me. I had just gone through a rough breakup a few months before, and my best friend told me I needed to get out of the house. We went to see this band that wasn't even my type of music, but I went anyway. My ex-husband, well, my husband back then, was there with his friends. We ended up standing next to each other, just by pure coincidence. From the moment the lights went down and the music started, we started dancing. Not together at first, but close enough that we couldn't help bumping into each other. He had this big smile, one of those smiles that make you smile back even if you're in a bad mood. Before the night was over, he asked me if I wanted a drink, and we ended up talking for hours after the concert ended. Something in me knew right then that this man was going to be my husband one day. I remember driving home that night and hearing this little voice in my head say, "That's him." I just wish that same voice would have warned me not to play games with him years later. We dated for 2 years before getting married, and those 2 years were honestly amazing. He wasn't flashy or rich or any of that. He was just steady, consistent. The kind of man who would text me every morning to tell me to have a good day, who showed up when he said he would, and who made me feel safe. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but we always found our way back. The first few years of marriage were good, like really good. We traveled, saved up, bought our first little apartment, and just built a life. I used to brag about him to my friends because he was that man who didn't give me reasons to worry. No secretive behavior, no late nights out, no shady stuff. But looking back, I realize now that he was also sensitive. Not in a weak way, just in a he feels things deeply kind of way. If I said something out of line or made a sarcastic joke, I could see it bothered him, even when he tried to play it off. I was the opposite. I grew up in a house where people joked all the time, even harsh jokes, and we just brushed them off. So, sometimes my humor could come across as mean, even if I didn't mean it that way. Still, for 6 years we were solid. We built routines, had our favorite shows, cooked together, fought sometimes, but always made up. We were good, until I made the biggest mistake of my life. But before I get to that, I have to admit, there were a couple of moments before the prank that might have planted seeds of doubt in his mind. About 2 years before everything blew up, I was caught responding to an ex. I know how that sounds, but I swear on everything it wasn't anything romantic. My ex had posted some dark stuff on Facebook about wanting to end his life. I don't even talk to him like that, but I felt guilty just scrolling past. So I messaged him to check in, to make sure he was okay. My husband saw the messages. He wasn't snooping or anything. He asked to use my phone to look something up, and the notification popped up. The look on his face when he asked, "Why is your ex messaging you?" I'll never forget that. We had a huge argument. He felt betrayed, and I couldn't blame him. But once he actually read the conversation, he realized it really was innocent. No flirting, no reminiscing, just concern. Still, something in him shifted after that. I could tell. He never brought it up again after we made up, but there was a small crack in our trust from that day on. Then, about a year later, there was another situation. My friend had a small get-together, and I ended up staying the night because we'd been drinking. When I say get-together, I mean it wasn't some crazy party. There were maybe 5 of us, 3 girls and 2 guys. Those 2 guys were both friends of her boyfriend. Apparently, my husband got worried when I wasn't answering my phone, so he drove over there. When he saw 2 men there, I think his brain immediately went to the worst-case scenario. I swear to you, true story, nothing happened. I was literally sleeping on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. The look on his face when he walked in the door, though, I could tell he felt humiliated. He didn't yell. He just said, "You couldn't answer the phone?" We argued again after that. He said that if the situation were reversed, I'd never believe him. And he's right, I probably wouldn't have, but it wasn't what it looked like. Eventually, he let it go, or at least pretended to. But looking back, maybe he never truly did. Maybe those 2 moments made him see me as someone he couldn't fully trust. Fast forward to earlier this year. I had been scrolling through TikTok and saw this relationship prank trend where wives tell their husbands they want an open relationship just to get their reaction. Some of them were funny, guys looking shocked, speechless, or joking back. The comments were full of people laughing. I thought, oh, my husband's gonna flip out for a second, then laugh when he realizes I'm joking. Let me just say, he did not laugh. I still remember the moment so vividly. He had just come home from work, tired, but in a good mood. We'd made dinner together and were sitting on the couch when I said it. I tried to make it sound casual, like, "Babe, I've been thinking maybe we should try an open relationship." At first, he thought I was joking. He chuckled and said, "What?" But then I just kept a straight face, trying to sell the joke. I said something like, "Yeah, just for fun. Everyone's doing it. It could be healthy." He went completely silent. Then I watched the color drain from his face. He stood up and said, "You can't be serious." I was about to tell him it was a prank, but before I could, he started talking, fast, angry, hurt. He said, "I should have listened to my gut 2 years ago. I knew I couldn't trust you after that ex thing. And after that night at your friend's, I knew you were full of excuses." I tried to stop him, telling him, "It's a prank. Babe, it's a joke, I swear." But he wasn't hearing it. His voice was shaking. He said, "Then show me your phone." That's where things really went downhill. He demanded to see my phone, saying if it was really a prank, I should have no problem proving it. But in my head, I thought, this is ridiculous. Why do I have to prove something that was supposed to be a joke? I refused, not because I was hiding anything, but because it felt invasive. I told him I wasn't going to reward his outburst by letting him snoop through my phone. I know how that sounds, but at the moment I was defensive, angry that he didn't believe me. He said, "You can't even hand me your phone, and I'm supposed to believe this was a prank? You really think I'm stupid, don't you?" That cut deep because that's not what I thought at all. But once he gets angry, there's no calming him down right away. I told him again, "It's a prank. It's for a video. You can look it up on TikTok." But he said he didn't care. He went into the bedroom, started packing his bag, and said, "I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore." I followed him, begging him to listen, trying to stop him from leaving. I even showed him the trend on my phone, but by then, he was too far gone. He said, "I'm not some joke for you to play on the internet. You lost me the moment you said those words." And then he left. For the first week, I thought he'd come back. I called, texted, emailed. No response. I even went to his mom's house, thinking maybe she could talk to him. She told me he needed space and that I should give him time. That space turned into 2 months of complete silence. During that time, I went through every possible emotion: anger, sadness, guilt, confusion. I kept replaying the prank in my head, wishing I could undo it. I told myself he was just being dramatic, that once he calmed down, he'd realize I wasn't actually asking for an open marriage. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just about the prank. It was about everything that came before it. 2 years of tiny cracks that finally broke the whole foundation. Still, I held out hope. 2 months later, he texted me out of nowhere, "I'll be by tomorrow to grab a few more things." I remember my heart jumping. I thought, this is it. He's ready to talk. Maybe this is our chance to fix it. I even got dressed up a little. Nothing over the top, just nice. I made coffee, lit a candle, tried to make the apartment feel warm and welcoming. I imagined him walking in, seeing me, realizing he missed home. But that's not what happened. He showed up with another man, a younger guy, maybe in his 20s. The guy handed me an envelope. My husband, well, ex-husband now, didn't even look me in the eyes when he said, "I'm just here to get my things." When I opened the envelope, I saw it, divorce papers. My stomach dropped. I remember asking, "Are you serious right now? You couldn't even talk to me first?" He just said, "Brittany, I've made up my mind. I don't want to fight or talk anymore. Just sign the papers." The other man was apparently some kind of process server or friend helping him with the paperwork. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was coming to fix things, not end them. I cried, begged him to sit down, but he refused. He walked through the apartment, grabbed a few boxes, and left. That's when it hit me that this wasn't temporary. He really was done. The divorce process itself was awful. I tried to reach out multiple times, emails, letters, even showing up at mediation with photos and cards we'd shared. But he was cold, distant, polite in that way where you know it's over. He didn't want to argue about money. He just wanted his freedom. That hurt even more. It's like I wasn't even worth arguing with. I tried to explain to everyone, my family, his family, mutual friends, that it was just a joke, that it got blown out of proportion. But most people just looked at me like I was lying, like there had to be more to the story. Even my best friend said, "Girl, you should have known better than to pull that kind of prank." And maybe she's right. But at the same time, I still feel like he overreacted. Like, yes, I made mistakes, but divorce? Over a prank? He finally got what he wanted, divorce. The next morning after divorce, I paced my apartment. I cleaned obsessively, trying to make everything perfect. I poured myself a coffee I didn't even want, staring out the window, rehearsing what I would say if he walked in. "Please just talk to me. Please understand. I didn't mean to hurt you." When the doorbell rang, I ran to answer, and there he was, standing in front of me, calm, collected, and completely detached. Behind him was the young man from the call, the process server. He held the folder, but aside from that, he was silent, neutral, professional. There was no warmth, no hesitation in my ex-husband's eyes. He looked at me and said simply, "I'm here for my things." I tried to mask the panic in my voice. I thought maybe we could talk first," I said, my throat tight. Maybe you'd," he interrupted me. "Brittany, there's nothing to talk about. I'm done. This is final." I felt my knees weaken. "Done? Just like that?" I whispered. "After everything? 6 years, you're just done? We don't need a piece of paper to be together. You know that, right?" I wanted to scream, to cry, to beg. "It was just a joke," I shouted, voice breaking. "I didn't cheat. I didn't mean to hurt you." He looked at me coldly. "It's not about cheating, Brittany. It's about trust. And you broke it. That's all there is to it." I tried to explain. I told him about the prank, about the X messages, the sleepover at my friend's house, everything. I tried to show him that none of it was malicious, that I loved him, that I had always cared. He shook his head. "I don't want to hear it. I gave you every chance to understand the consequences. This is it. We are already done." After he left, I tried everything I could think of to save what we had left. I called, texted, even sent long, rambling emails explaining myself. Every word I wrote was defensive, pleading, and raw. I told him how much I loved him, how much I regretted my stupid prank, and how I would do anything to fix what I'd broken. Some nights I would sit in the dark, imagining he'd read my words and come back, realizing that I didn't mean to hurt him. Other nights I would scream at the walls, crying that this was my fault and that my love wasn't enough to keep him. But nothing worked. The reality was clear. He had moved on in his mind. Whether he had someone new or not wasn't the point. He didn't want me back. My attempts to justify myself were futile, and I realized that the man I had loved was gone, replaced by a version of himself that no longer included me. The first few weeks after were unbearable. I would wake up in the middle of the night, heart pounding, panicked that he might show up. I would check my phone compulsively, half hoping for a message, half dreading it. Each time it was nothing, and the emptiness crushed me a little more. I tried to occupy myself, but everything reminded me of him. Our favorite coffee shop, the playlist we made together, even the little things like the way the sun hit our living room, every detail was a knife. I went out with friends, tried online dating. He even started going to the gym, but my mind kept replaying the past. Every time I laughed with someone, I imagined him standing there, cold, indifferent, already having moved on. Part of me became defensive, constantly arguing in my own head. I didn't cheat. It was just a joke. He's overreacting. I clung to that thought like a lifeline because it was the only way I could cope with the finality of it all. And yes, I became obsessed, not in a healthy way. I stalked his social media, checked for updates through mutual friends, anything to know what he was doing, even though I knew it would hurt. Every time I heard about him from someone else, it was like a punch to the gut. I wanted him back. I wanted him to see reason. I wanted him to understand that it was never malicious, only foolish, and that I still loved him. I defended myself to everyone who would listen. Friends, family, even strangers on social media. Anyone who would give me a moment of attention. It was just a joke, I would say, tears in my eyes. I didn't cheat. I never wanted to hurt him. But no one seemed to understand the full context. All they saw was a woman who played a prank and lost her marriage. No one saw the desperation, the love, the heartbreak. Then one day, I decided I had to see him. I told myself it wasn't about pleading. It was about closure. I went to our favorite spot, the little park bench where we used to sit on lazy afternoons, where we talked about everything and nothing. I sat there for hours, hoping to see him, hoping to talk, hoping for some small miracle. I did see him eventually. He walked past with the same cold composure he had when he came to get his things. He didn't acknowledge me. He didn't even glance my way. My heart ached in a way I didn't know was possible. All the rehearsed words, all the explanations, all the tears, they meant nothing. I stayed there long after he was gone, staring at the empty space he had occupied. Part of me hated him. Part of me hated myself. Part of me wished I could rewind time and undo that joke. I replayed everything constantly. The prank, the X messages from years ago, the sleepover at my friend's house. My brain kept reminding me that in every instance, I had not cheated. I had not betrayed him. And yet it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough to bring him back, to restore his trust, to undo the hurt. Some days I would sit on the couch crying for hours. Other days I would throw things in my apartment, screaming at the universe. I would look at the photos of us together and alternately laugh and sob. I oscillated between anger and despair, rage and hopelessness, constantly questioning my own worth. I knew I was emotionally messy, and I knew I looked desperate, but I couldn't stop. My entire life had revolved around him for years, and suddenly that foundation had been ripped away. I had no map, no guidance, and no way to navigate this new reality. I couldn't help but imagine scenarios where he had moved on, found someone else, was happy without me, didn't care anymore. It was irrational, yes, but obsession doesn't care about rationality. I would picture him laughing, smiling, living a life I had hoped to share with him, and it broke me down all over again. I tried everything. I wrote emails, letters, text messages, long rambling explanations of what had happened. I tried to reach him through friends. I even left small notes in places I thought he might see, hoping that somewhere in the chaos he might read them and reconsider. I begged in my letters, pleaded, cried through the words, explained every single mistake in my life and how none of them had been malicious. I reminded him of our good times, of our love, of the bond we shared. But none of it reached him. He remained unreachable, emotionally armored, and completely done. I am left with regret, shame, and an overwhelming sense of loss. Every day is a battle between remembering the love we shared and facing the reality that it's gone. I try to tell myself that life moves on, that maybe someday I'll understand why things happened the way they did. But every moment reminds me that the man I loved is no longer mine. And yes, I am still defensive. I keep telling myself, I didn't cheat. It was just a joke. It wasn't malicious. I cling to that because without it, the guilt, the pain, and the loss would be unbearable. Even now, writing this email, I feel that same mix of heartbreak, anger, and frustration. I've tried. I've gone on dates, met new people, even considered moving to a new city to escape the constant reminders of him. But nothing works. Every time I see a man smile, I imagine him instead. Every time I hear laughter, I picture it in his voice. Every time I try to open my heart, a shadow of him creeps in, reminding me that no one will ever know me the way he did, or love me the way he once did. I know it sounds obsessive. I know it sounds unhealthy. But this is what losing someone you truly love feels like. It's messy, it's raw, it's emotional chaos. And even though I try to justify myself, even though I try to defend my intentions, even though I know the joke wasn't meant to destroy us, the damage is done. My friends have tried to help. They've said things like, you need closure, you need to move on. But closure doesn't exist in the way they mean it. I've confronted him in my mind 1,000 times, explained myself endlessly in emails, letters, texts. I've tried to talk to mutual friends about him, hoping they might convince him to see reason. None of it works. The divorce is final. His absence is permanent. Every attempt I make to explain, to defend myself, to justify the prank, feels like a scream into a void. I am still defensive because I know, deep down, that I didn't act maliciously. I didn't cheat. I didn't betray his trust in the way he thinks. And yet, the world only sees a woman who played a prank and lost her marriage. Regret consumes me. I think about what life would be like if I had done things differently, if I had never done the prank, if I had handed over my phone, if I had never laughed that day. I wonder if he would have stayed, if we would have worked through our issues, if we could have rebuilt trust instead of watching it crumble. I am haunted by every detail of our life together. The little things, the way he used to smile when he told me something funny, the way he always held my hand when we walked, the way we laughed at inside jokes no one else would understand. They are all ghosts now, and I am left chasing shadows, defending myself to a man who will never hear me, never forgive me, and will never return. I am writing because I need someone to understand the emotional wreckage that comes after losing someone you truly love, someone you trusted, someone you built your life with. The younger man who served the papers was just a witness to the finality, but his presence made the heartbreak real. I am still here, still defensive, still obsessed, still trying to process losing a man who was my whole world over a joke I never meant to harm him with. This is my truth, the messiness, the heartbreak, the obsession, the defense, the regret. I am not proud of all of it. I am not sane in every reaction I've had. But this is what happens when love ends, when trust is broken, when a marriage that felt unshakable crumbles in a single moment. Even now, months later, I am still here, still loving, still hoping, still defending myself. Maybe one day I'll find peace. Maybe one day I'll understand. But for now, I live in the chaos of losing him, and I write to you because it's the only way to make sense of it. Thank you for listening. Brittany.